All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the highly detailed balance sheet of owning a modern electric vehicle, and we're using the popular Tata Punch EV as our ultimate case study. Look, if you've been eyeing the EV market, you already know the promises, right? Zero tailpipe emissions, futuristic tech, and massive long-term fuel savings. But what's the actual, on-the-ground reality of living with a first-generation electric platform? We're going to look at the raw data, genuine owner experiences, and the hard numbers to give you the complete pros and cons breakdown.
Now this number is wild, 60,000 kilometers. That is exactly how far you actually have to drive the Punch EV just to break even financially against a comparable petrol automatic model. Because of that higher upfront cost for the EV, and assuming you're charging at home, it takes a whole lot of driving before those cheaper electricity rates literally start putting money back into your pocket. And get this, if you have to rely heavily on public fast chargers, that break-even point skyrockets to nearly 100,000 kilometers. It really puts that whole instant savings myth into perspective, doesn't it?
To keep this perfectly balanced, here is our agenda. First, the Punch EV pros. Second, range and regenerative braking. Third, the quality control cons. Fourth, software bugs and glitches. Fifth, hidden costs and maintenance. And finally, the big EV verdict.
Section 1. The Punch EV pros. Let's kick things off with the good stuff, because honestly, the foundational engineering here is genuinely top-notch. Because the heavy battery is placed way down low in the chassis, the EV gets this incredible low center of gravity. It practically hugs the road, giving you much better handling than the petrol or CNG versions. Plus, the interior touchpoints just feel a notch above. But the real magic? It's the drive itself. You don't have to constantly manage gears and RPMs to get moving. You just tap the pedal and boom! Instant, effortless, completely smooth acceleration. It's a blast to drive.
You're also getting some serious peace of mind here. A 5-star Bharat NCAP crash safety rating? Check. A super competitive starting price right under 10 lakh rupees? Also check. Plus, Tata includes an industry-standard 8-year battery warranty covering degradation below 70%. And if you're wondering which one to buy, the 35 kilowatt-hour Adventure variant is absolutely the sweet spot. It gives you better performance and upgraded brakes without breaking the bank.
Section 2. Range and regen braking. Let's talk about the daily drive. How far can this thing actually go? And how does it recover energy?
Range anxiety is always the elephant in the room with EVs, right? But check out these real-world test numbers. In a 32-degree heat test in Kochi, dealing with both narrow city streets and highway stretches, the 40 kilowatt-hour pack delivered a highly impressive 333 kilometers of actual range. That's an efficiency of 120 watt-hours per kilometer, hitting a very solid 71% of the official ARI claim. For your average daily commute, range anxiety is essentially a thing of the past here.
Now, if you haven't experienced one-pedal driving yet, it's brilliant. Basically, when you lift your foot off the accelerator, the electric motor runs in reverse and acts like a generator. It slows the car down smoothly, but instead of wasting that momentum as heat like normal friction brakes do, it harvests the energy and sends it right back into the battery. It's incredible because you barely touch your physical brake pads, meaning they can literally last for years without needing a replacement. In dense, stop-and-go city traffic, this system is basically a superpower. You're quietly stretching your charge while sitting in bumper-to-bumper congestion. While the highway benefits are pretty minor, in the city, that 10 to 25% range boost is an absolute game-changer for keeping your daily running costs incredibly low.
All right, Section 3, the quality control cons. Let's flip the script and look at the harsh realities of early adoption.
How can you deliver a brand new car with a faulty coolant pump? Yeah, that's a direct quote capturing the intense frustration of real-world owners. The Voltman EV channel, for instance, experienced a critical coolant pump failure just 1,000 kilometers into owning their new car. It triggered scary dashboard warnings because the battery wasn't being cooled properly. That's a fundamental quality assurance miss that just leaves buyers totally stunned. Get this. Another owner reported 17 distinct physical defects in just their first 2 months. 17. We're talking suspension components making terrible clunking noises over speed bumps and loose fuse boxes that owners literally have to wedge with tissue paper just to stop the rattling. Toss in misaligned wipers that entirely miss the windshield, seatbelts that won't retract, and missing interior trims. It really highlights that buying a first-gen platform sometimes means you're basically testing the final fit and finish for the manufacturer.
Section 4. Software bugs and glitches. As if hardware issues weren't enough, the software side has its own gremlins. In modern EVs, the software is arguably just as critical as the battery itself. Imagine parking on a hill with an 80% charge, only to return and find your car completely locked down in restricted limp mode. Or using your phone app to turn on the AC on a scorching day, and suddenly the car throws a critical high voltage error. Even the range meters have been glitching, permanently locking at 290 kilometers regardless of the charge. These are super stressful, confidence-draining headaches for early adopters.
Section 5, Hidden Costs and Maintenance. Let's talk money, because the low-maintenance brochure doesn't always tell the whole story.
EVs don't need oil changes, so they should barely need servicing, right? Well, read the fine print. Tata requires mandatory service center visits every 6 months. That means you are dealing with frequent labor costs, giving up your time, and dodging dealership upsells way more often than the industry standard. And you have to do it, because if you skip these visits, you risk voiding that massive 8-year battery warranty.
What happens if the warranty runs out and the battery degrades? Well, a full replacement could set you back over 4 lakh rupees. Ouch! Now, to be fair, you rarely need a full pack replacement. Dealers can often swap a single faulty module for around 60,000 to 2 lakh rupees. Still, it's a huge potential expense. Oh, and if you want Tata's official faster home charger, that's a steep 50,000 rupee premium right out of the gate, whereas third-party options might be much cheaper.
Finally, Section 6, the final EV verdict. Let's pull all this data together and figure out what it actually means for you. So here is our ultimate balance sheet. The duality of this car is honestly striking. On one side, you have fantastic core engineering, ultra-safe crash ratings, an incredible 333 kilometers of real-world range, and undeniable long-term fuel savings. But on the flip side, you have to be prepared for frustrating manufacturing defects, stressful software bugs, mandated 6-month service trips, and that huge 60,000-kilometer hurdle just to break even on your initial investment.
So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Are the brilliant mechanics and the promise of ditching the petrol pump forever worth enduring the inevitable bugs and quality control headaches of being an early adopter? Or is it wiser to just hold on to your cash and wait for the next generation to iron out the kinks? The choice really comes down to your personal tolerance for a few bumps in the road. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the data.